say, and I'm always one who's willing to eat my words and admit when I'm wrong, or maybe not wrong in this case, but at least having misjudged something. I have to say, Netflix has been killing it with these high-concept action films. There was The Harder They Fall earlier, which was a breath of fresh air in the movie-going landscape, and now there's this movie. In fact, you look back at all of 2021, and one thing I've got to say, a pattern I've noticed, is that it seems to be a year for really fun, imaginative action films. The one notable exception to that, sadly, is the James Bond movie that came out, which was so dour, dull, and lacking in anything even in remotely resembling a good time, which is just shows you the twisted world we live in these days. When would you ever think Bond films would be boring compared to other action films? But here we are. But I'm off on a tangent. We'll save that for the worst of list. But we got to talk about this film because, man, what a fun movie. What a fun, energetic, sometimes a little overly self-conscious film. But all in all, man, I dug it. I just dug this film. So you've probably seen the trailers for this. They've been advertising it pretty strong. So what you have in this film is you have Dwayne Johnson as a FBI agent or an FBI profiler who is after Ryan Reynolds, who is this basically Ryan Reynolds as an art thief. Yes, we've kind of entered into that phase where you have Dwayne Johnson just playing Dwayne Johnson in a different profession, and Ryan Reynolds plays Ryan Reynolds just in a different profession. Kind of like an Abbott and Costello movie, really. So yeah, Dwayne Johnson is the FBI agent. Ryan Reynolds is the art thief. They chase, they banter, and eventually both are double-crossed by a mysterious art thief known as the Bishop, played here by Wonder Woman herself, Gal Gadot. And basically, The Rock and Deadpool decide to team up to try to, get back at Wonder Woman. And of course, there's all this plot motivation thing of, mysterious eggs of Cleopatra and blah, blah, blah. It's a MacGuffin. It's, that's all it's there for, to just propel the plot along. Because the plot is seeing Dwayne Johnson and Ryan Reynolds banter and Gal Gadot look attractive and all of them banter and big action set pieces. And, that's what you're there to see. That's what you paid the money for. And that's what you get. It's a simple premise, a simple formula that works when it's done well, and it is done very well here. This is a film that knows its audience and, more importantly, knows its talent and knows how to use them. I've said this before. I think Becca and I said it when we reviewed Jungle Cruise, is that it's very hard for Dwayne Johnson to not be likable in a movie. Even if the movie itself is not bad, he himself is just such a charismatic presence that it's hard not to like him in the movie. And, that's always been his greatest strength, along with his other greatest strength, knowing his type. I talk about this with my acting students all the time. Know your role. As The Rock would say, know your role and shut your mouth. And he knows his role. He knows what he's strong at, and he steers into that skid and steers in hard, and it hasn't steered him wrong yet. And that goes along with his other greatest strength, huge fucking bulging muscles. But I digress. Ryan Reynolds, now, I have long had a love-hate relationship with Ryan Reynolds. And I've mentioned this many times on the show, particularly when I was reviewing the Deadpool films, that I remember seeing Ryan Reynolds in, smaller films, most specifically the film Definitely Maybe, a wonderful, sweet, romantic comedy, and he was very good in that. And I remember seeing him in movies like that and going, man, this guy is good. This guy's a really good actor. He's a lot of fun, his films are very light and enjoyable. I really wish he'd hit it big, and for a long time there, it looked like he wasn't going to. And I was like, man, that's a real disappointment. I really wish he'd get into something and everybody could see just how good he is. And in a classic case of careful what you wish for, he did. And it was Deadpool. And he's been doing the Deadpool thing pretty much non-stop ever since. That's not a bad thing for his bread and butter and his bottom line. Keeps him employed, keeps him in the public eye, and it seems like a lot of people enjoy his shtick. You know, I am fully willing to admit I'm the Lone Ranger on this, and, you know, other people tend to really enjoy it, so, you know, it's working for him. But I feel like with him a lot of times is the same way I kind of feel with Jim Carrey and the late Robin Williams. That is when they would just go crazy and just, you know, no filter, no pullback, their shtick got old very quickly. And I find I have that problem with Ryan Reynolds. He's very good, he's very fun, he's very enjoyable, but I feel like his overly snarky live action Looney Tune, you know, raised eyebrows, smirking at the camera, you know, line delivery, it gets old really quick. And we're going to cover that here in a second when we're talking about the film itself. So I lay all this out there to kind of say that I have a bit of a love-hate thing with Ryan Reynolds, but I feel he was very good in this. He was enjoyable. He got up to the line a couple times for me. I'm just like, okay, please stop. You know, cut it back a little bit. But I think for the most part, it worked really well, and he and The Rock worked very well together. They had a good comic banter, but I'm kind of starting to believe that it's very difficult for Dwayne Johnson not to have good chemistry with just about everybody. He's just good like that. It's kind of the same thing that made him a good tag team wrestler. You know, he's in there with The Rock. Well, he is The Rock. When he's in there with Mankind or The Undertaker, or who else was he in a tag team with? I think Shawn Michaels he was in a tag team with at one time. I forget. But, you know, he has a way of working very well, of complementing the other person's style, covering up his shortcomings and overshadowing theirs. You know, I was thinking the whole time watching this of, you know, that Fast and the Furious spinoff with Jason Statham, you know, and they worked well together, and Ryan Reynolds and he worked well together. Their character dynamic is fun, their line delivery is crisp. Yeah, it was a fun film, and they are a big reason why the film is kind of bounced on their backs, and they deliver. Bringing up the rear on this one though is the third member of the cast, and that's Gal Gadot. Wonder Woman. And this is another person that I've said many times in reviewing both her Wonder Woman films and the 2 times I've had to sit through Justice League, is that she looks phenomenal. She has a real she has a, I don't want to say a presence, but, you know, she's got something. She's got an it factor, you know, that the eye just goes her. She fills out costumes well, and I don't mean that in a sexual way. I mean that she looks good on camera. But then she talks, and the woman just does not have a lot of charisma. I've called her a charisma vacuum multiple times, and it's still true. I'm sorry. She is just not very charismatic once she actually starts acting. However, the transitive property of directing works very well in this movie's favor. That transitive property being you put extremely charismatic actors next to actors who are kind of but not really charismatic, and that natural charisma will boost the weaker actor up. You know, it's the same casting philosophy I use when I cast one of the stronger actors in a supporting role, where I know they can help bring the younger and less experienced actors up to another level or hide their weaknesses. And the thing happens here, and luckily for Gal Gadot, she is on screen with 2 incredibly charismatic performers. Like, these guys, if you could hook a turbine up to their charisma, you could power the Vegas Strip. And I think that allows her to kind of come out of her shell a little bit. And I think this is the most fun I've seen her have on stage. It never looks like she's having any fun in those Wonder Woman movies. And I know there was a whole lot of shit going on backstage with Justice League. So yeah, I know she wasn't having fun there. So this looks like the first movie where she's really enjoying herself, and it makes her more fun to watch. I still think she's definitely the weak link in the casting chain, but comparatively to what she's done before, I think this is one of her best roles. And I think even her natural weaknesses do not detract from the film. She's still having a really, really good time. And there you go. So they're having a good time. You're having a good time as the audience. The rest of the film, kind of a standard action buddy comedy. I hate to say that, but the action scenes are crisp and fun. The cinematography is really gorgeous. It's also a heist movie and a double cross movie. So there's like 1,001 double crosses and backstabs and secrets coming out all over the place. What you're seeing is not really what's going on. It's almost predictable in its unpredictability. You know these things are coming. But what I like is that the movie kind of hangs a lampshade on that right away. One of the criticisms I had of this film, especially in the early goings, is that it was incredibly over-directed. Like, it was way too slick and smooth, and, the action scenes way too choreographed, and I was thinking to myself, it's very Fast and the Furious directing, there's nothing wrong with that for an action film. It, keeps the flow going, it's very smooth, but it's very artificial. It's very obvious. And especially the opening bit. The opening bit was really, really over-directed. The rest of the film is too. But the opening especially. And then I realized the opening is playing the long con with me. It's suckering me in. Because I'm going to reveal to you now, as best I can, one of the best moments of cinema of 2021. This is one of the coolest moments in the entire year. So the opening is happening. It's very over-directed, very slick chase scene. The Rock chasing Ryan Reynolds through an art gallery, and run, chase. Parkour. Very, very, kind of, again, very Fast and the Furious level of directing. Sorry about the glare. I'm trying to counteract it as best I can. So then that chase scene culminates outside the museum. Ryan Reynolds jumps on a little, pissant scooter and is puttering away. The Rock looks over and he sees this gorgeous sports car. And you think to yourself, okay, you know where this is going. A very overdone chase scene in the sports car. And yeah, he gets in, he revs it up. The Rock music's playing, and he hits the gas, and he's immediately sideswiped by a shitty bus. Like, immediately. And it was one of the best moments in cinema for the year 2021. I laughed my ass off. I'm lucky and happy that I was watching this at home, because I could pause the movie and laugh for like 10 minutes at that, and just how perfect it was done. And that's what the movie was doing. It was setting you up. It was showing you everything you expect to see, and then doing the exact opposite, which is exactly what's going on with the storyline. The characters are setting you up, showing you one thing, and then doing another. Very, look over here, look over here, look over here. So that was very clever. Now, here's the problem I kind of have with this movie a little bit, and it was something I was talking about with the performance of Ryan Reynolds. I think there is a very thin line a very thin line between little winks to the audience, little nods and acknowledgement of what you're doing, and the the influences for this film, the National Treasure, Indiana Jones, Uncharted video games. All of these are clearly influences on this movie. Why they didn't just call this film Uncharted instead of whatever they're going to do with Tom Holland later in the year, I don't know, because it basically is an Uncharted video game. And that's fine. It's fine to have those little winks and those little nods and to acknowledge kind of your influences. Okay, fine. But there is a big difference between doing that and repeatedly hanging a lampshade on everything. Everything gets a lampshade. Everything. This moment here. Oh, there's a lampshade. Oh, here's a lampshade. Oh, here's a lampshade. And if you keep doing that, think about it if you did that in your house. If you just hung a lampshade on anything, you'd walk into the room and just look around and go, there's a lot of lampshades in here. And then you get those people from the home and garden home shows that flip your house or redecorate, and they come and go, oh my God, there's so many lampshades. Why all the lampshades? There's just so many lampshades. And Ryan Reynolds' performance in a lot of his stuff, and the way this film is kind of staged and shot, it's towing that line a little bit. It's in danger of really stepping over that line between here's a little wink to the audience and here's a big lampshade, let's draw all the attention to it. And I think when you go out of your way to acknowledge all of these things, I think you're taking away from the film itself. You want a better example? This is why the original Scream worked and all subsequent Scream sequels and spin-offs didn't. The first one acknowledged the cliches, acknowledged the patterns, acknowledged the rules, and had fun with it. All the subsequent ones, because that's what the first one became famous for, were so busy drawing attention to everything that what was special was lost. And that's what I feel this movie is in danger of a lot of the time. It's so busy kind of drawing attention to all of its influence and all these little we're too smart for the room references or acknowledgments or whatever, that it pulls you out of it. Instead of just saying, let's just have fun with it. Yes, we know it's there, but just go on with life. They really have to, draw attention. And I think that's something Ryan Reynolds does as a performer a bit much. I think that's why he needs to pull it back a little, in my personal opinion. But I want to stress, these are minor instances in this film. It happens a few times and I kind of roll my eyes, but generally speaking, I'm having a lot of fun with the movie. I'm enjoying the interplay. The twists. What a twist. Were interesting, or at least fun. Maybe not, entirely unexpected, but it was neat seeing the setup and the knockdown. So, yeah. All in all, really, really fun movie. I recommend it. It's a nice way to spend a weekend, and I think it'd be good either at home, just enjoying it, or at a movie theater. I think it'd be fun to see on the big screen too. So yeah, definitely take some time and check this one out. So let's wrap this up and go final grade for Red Notice. Geez, I am debating. I'm gonna err a little on the side of caution, and I'm gonna go a B+ on this one. I'm gonna go B+. It's good. It does hang again a little too many lampshades. I know I'm hanging lampshades by saying lampshades so much. You could probably play a drinking game with how many times I've said lampshades, but don't drink and drive. Anyway, But I had a good time watching it, and again, it earns a lot of points for having the single greatest moment in 2020 cinema so far. You're gonna have to go a long way to beat that for me. So yeah, I had a good time. Check this one out. I don't think you'll regret it. All right, so that's all the time we have for this installment. Thank you for joining me, and as always, drive safe, and I will see you at the movies.